Today, we're going to talk about the first appearances and key issues for the greatest day of the week. New Comic Book Day, August 17th, 2022. That's coming up next. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr, and this is the Small Town Collectibles YouTube channel. But before we get into talking about all the first appearances, the key issues, and the cool covers this week, if you're new to the channel, why don't you hit that subscription button, turn on that notification bell so that you get notified when I put out new content, smash that like button, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about the video and what books you're looking forward to picking up this week. All right, with all that out of the way, let's jump into our first category, and as always, that's our covers. I'm going to put my spectacles on so I can see my list. First up, we've got a great cover from Raza, and that's Black Adam number 3. This is the cover C variant. Gorgeous Black Adam cover. I actually like the cover A lot on this as well, but this cover really stood out to me. So yeah, very cool cover from Raza this week. And then I've come to, I guess, the realization that I have a massive crush on Catwoman. I just do. These next two covers are from Catwoman number 46. The first one is the cover B variant by Sozo Makia. Just love this. Kind of an old school look for Catwoman, but it's just very sleek, very clean. Absolutely dig that cover. And then you can't go wrong with the swimsuit cover. That's cover C variants by Jeff Deckel. Catwoman in a swimsuit. Check, check, check. Sold to your boy, the Don here. So absolutely grabbing that one this week as I realized my infatuation with Catwoman. Yes, very sad. All right, now, so the next covers are all from the same book as well, but I really kind of dug all these covers, and that is Harley Quinn number 20. First up, we've got the cover A. This is the John Boy Myers cover. It's just a dope looking cover. Just really dig it. Yeah, immediately, I say it every week. As soon as I saw it, knew I wanted to put it on the list this week. And then the next cover is the cover B variant by Derek Chew, and I could put these Derek Chew covers on every week. He does a great, great Harley Quinn cover, but I really like this one because it's kind of got the football, theme to it. Absolutely love that. College football season is right around the corner. Cannot wait for my Cats to get going. Hoping for a big year for the Kentucky Wildcats this year. But yeah, back to the comic books. The Derek Chew cover, very, very cool. Love this one a lot. And then this last cover is the cover C. It's the homage variant by Ryan Sook. This is a homage, of course, to Detective Comics 359, which was the first appearance of Barbara Gordon. Really been digging these retro covers. I've actually picked up a few and not actually include them on the list. But I wanted to make sure I put this one on because I have picked up some of the others and thought it might be something you'd be interested in as well. Now, I haven't had Perillo on here in a bit, but we got a great Lucio Perillo cover this week from Lady Hell number 1. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous Perillo cover. Absolutely love that one and looking forward to checking that one out. And then the last cover this week comes from Marvel. And there's a lot of good covers for this book, but this was the one that really stood out to me, and that's Star Wars The Mandalorian number 2. This is the cover E incentive from Jim Chi-Young. And yeah, just a dope cover with the Mandalorian and Grogu kind of chilling out in the back of the picture. Looks like they're clogging through the mud there, but yeah, absolutely dug this one as well. And that's it for our covers. So a lot of cool covers out this week. Those are the ones that I like. I'm sure there's more out there that you dig, but those are my picks for this week. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into our second prints. We've got 3 this week. First up, we've got Batman 125, the cover and second print from Chip Zdarsky, and this is called the recolored variant. We also have another second print. This is the cover O for Batman 125, and this is the incentive from Jorge Jimenez. This is the cardstock full cover, and it's that all red with that Batbot kind of on the front. Absolutely cool. Very, very cool cover. And then last but not least, we've got Grimm number 3, the cover H second print from Lavino. Seems like there's a new second print for Grimm every single week. Very popular title. All right, now those are the second prints. Let's jump into our one-shots. First up is a book I'm really looking forward to, and that's Batman One Bad Day, the Riddler number 1. The Dark Knight's greatest villains get their greatest stories yet. The Riddler, Two-Face, the Penguin, Mr. Freeze, Catwoman, Bane, Clayface, and Ra's al Ghul, Batman's most iconic villains, are all given 64-page prestige format specials that show why they are the greatest villains in all of comics. This book we begin with Batman, One Bad Day, the Riddler. Tom King and Mitch Gerads reunite and dive deep into the mind of Batman's most intellectual foe, the Riddler. The Riddler has killed a man in broad daylight for seemingly no reason, but there's always a reason, right? The Riddler is always playing a game. There are always rules. Batman will reach his wit's end trying to figure out the Riddler's true motivation in this epic psychological thriller. This is not to be missed, and I'm definitely looking forward to this. I think this has a very cool cover A as well. And I'm a Batman fan, and I love Batman's Rogues Gallery. So yeah, the Riddler is one of my favorites. Definitely can't wait to check this one out. Next up from IDW, we've got Sonic the Hedgehog. This is Volume 3, Annual 2022, number 1, and of course this is a one-shot. It's a little mangled. It's kind of jumbled. It's the 2022 Annual with Rough and Tangled and Rogue and Tumble. Writers Ian Flynn, Evan Stanley, and Gigi Dutrix. Aaron Hammerstorm, Daniel Barnes, Ian Muxler, and India Swift bring to readers 6 new heartwarming stories of unlikely pairs. That's Sonic the Hedgehog, Annual 2022, number 1 from IDW. Next up, this book comes from Image. We've got Last Shadowhawk, 30th Anniversary Special, number 1. In the not too distant future, the world will be just as it is today, only worse. Evil has permeated the very fabric of society, from the halls of government to the darkened alleyways. Will the heroes who once defended the downtrodden fail them now? Will a new generation rise, inspired by the last of the old? Who will be the last Shadowhawk? So that's Last Shadowhawk, 30th Anniversary Special, number 1 from Image Comics. Jumping over to Marvel, and a book I'm kind of looking forward to checking out. And this is Avengers, like 10 million BC, number 1. This is one shot. And the synopsis says the secret origin of Thor is revealed. There are the defenders of the dawn of time, Marvel's first and mightiest legacy heroes. But their greatest secrets have never been revealed. Until now. Witness the dark events that shatter their ranks. See how their lives come to shape the entire future of the Marvel Universe. And be there for the monumental event that reunites them one last time. The true story of Thor's birth. So I don't know if this is like a retelling of the origin of Thor, but I think this is a book definitely ought to be on the lookout for. That's Avengers 10,000 BC or 100,000 or 10 million BC, number 1. Also for Marvel, we've got Miss Marvel and Moon Knight, number 1. This is, of course, a one-shot. It's in that category. And you've been seeing these one-shots with Miss Marvel the last few weeks. Mark Spector, a.k.a. Moon Knight, protects the travelers of night. But what about those traveling to bring him death? A mechanical and maniacal threat brings Miss Marvel into Moon Knight's orbit, and the gravity of what they uncover will require them to plumb the depths of life and death. The mystery teased in last month's team-up with Wolverine continues to unfurl as the superhero spectacle of the summer sizzles on stands. So that is Miss Marvel and Moon Knight, number 1. Now from Archie Comics, we've got Chilling Adventures presents Jinx's Grim Fairy Tales, number 1. Teen Jinx Holiday is Riverdale's go-to babysitter. The often unruly kids that she watches over always change, seemingly for the better. The key to her success, her book of unique fairy tales, all of which tell a moralistic story, usually grim and gruesome, and one that frightens the children with Jinx as the star of each and every one. What sinister, serious lessons will she teach her wards? That's Chilling Adventures presents Jinx Grim Fairy Tales, number 1 from Archie Comics. Last book up in our one-shot category this week is McCandless and Company Crime Scenes, number 1. Carrie McCandless and Jessica Williams are private detectives from 2 very different walks of life. Each has her own strengths and weaknesses, habits, opinions, convictions, foibles, virtues, and vices. They're also best friends. If they can't make it together, it would be a crime. In fact, it probably will be anyway. McCandless and Company Insecurities is a series of snapshots of the earliest days of their partnership. So that's McCandless and Company Crime Scenes, number 1. And that wraps up our one-shots this week. Let's jump over into the big 2. Only one book from DC this week, and that is Sandman, number 1, the Cover E Facsimile Edition. Experience one of the greatest moments in comics history all over again with the Sandman number 1 Facsimile Edition. This faithful recreation of the original issue by award-winning writer Neil Gaiman is the perfect way for longtime fans and new ones to become acquainted with Dream of the Endless and the mystical realm he inhabits in time for the debut of the highly anticipated Netflix series. Now, the Netflix series is already out. I've watched 3 episodes so far. Absolutely dig it. I have read Sandman, and these facsimile editions, if you watch my channel at all, I tell you, these things tend to gain value over time because they are exact replicas of the original books. And the original books are, kind of priced out now where maybe most people couldn't afford them. So this is a good way to get a copy of this book. And it's Sandman #1, the facsimile edition. Now let's jump over into Marvel. A few books from them this week. First up, we've got Axe, Death to the Mutants #1. The mutants are deviants. Eternals are coded to correct excess deviation. The mutants are eternal Mars colonizers ever spreading. Eternals know what they should do. Our heroes don't want to, but they can't resist the murderous designs coded into their body as surely as any sentinel. And if they can't, can anyone survive the coming judgment? That sounds kind of cool, actually, and I may check that one out and give it a read. That's Axe, Death to the Mutants #1. Another facsimile from Marvel this week, or not another one from Marvel, but a facsimile. Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1. This is the facsimile edition, which of course was the first appearance of the Sinister Six. So again, it's a must pick up for me this week, just to have a copy of that book. Then we've got Iron Cat #3, and we've got the debut of new/upgraded Iron Cat armor. Savage Avengers #4, and my boy Gary B is going to have a coronary. It says that this is the death of Conan the Barbarian. Gary B, I will console you, my friend, if this turns out to be true. So that's Savage Avengers #4, and apparently Conan the Barbarian is going to die. And then the last book this week from Marvel is Ultraman Mystery of Ultra 7 #1. This is a 5-issue limited series. Giant Kaiju Rome, a sinister conspiracy consolidates power, and there's nobody left to stop it because Ultraman is gone. How did this situation go so wrong? And how can the United Science Patrol claw their way back from the brink? The answers lie in the appearance of an enigmatic new Ultra and a secret that has remained hidden for decades. From distant stars to lost dimensions, untangling this twisted web will require Shinhata to go farther and fight harder than ever before. So strap in. The mystery of Ultra 7 unfolds now. Plus, there's another story from the history of Ultra Q and 2 more instructional Kaiju steps. So yeah, I think that sounds dope too. Ultraman Mystery of Ultra 7 #1. Oh, and I said that was the last book. It's not. We do have one more book from Marvel, and that's X-Men Unlimited X-Men Green #1. This is a 2-issue solo series featuring Nature Girl. When a young X-Men breaks the laws of Krakoa and takes a life, it's up to Wolverine to track down his former student and take her down. But Nature Girl is tired of standing by while humanity destroys her home. Can even Logan quell her fury? Find out as a good girl breaks bad to save the planet. The hit story from the Marvel Unlimited comes to print for the first time with exclusive bonus content. That's X-Men Unlimited, X-Men Green #1. And that wraps up the big 2. Let's jump straight into our indies this week. First up from Aftershock, we've got Jimmy's Little Bastards #1. A new generation of bastards is back and bolder than ever. A special 3-issue oversized prestige format miniseries from Jimmy's creators Garth Ennis and Russ Braun. So that sounds kind of cool. The synopsis kind of got me. I may check this one out. That's Jimmy's Little Bastards #1 from Aftershock. From Behemoth, we've got Kingdom Come Deliverance #1. Since the capture of King Wesculus IV by his half-brother, King Sigismund, the kingdom of Bohemia is in disarray. The once peaceful kingdom is now filled with screams of terror as King Sigismund and his army, full of Cuman mercenaries, slaughter those who oppose him. Sigismund is aided by Espen Toth and his bandit army as they are able to raid the recently destroyed villages for silver and weapons while also bringing fear to Winclaw's loyalists. Find out what happened in the events leading to the hit video game Kingdom Come Deliverance in the upcoming comic series Kingdom Come Deliverance Death Upon Us. So that's Kingdom Come Deliverance #1 from Behemoth. From a Blue Wave world, we've got Crash and Troy #1. Intergalactic mercenaries Rex, Crash, Ballard, and Troy 3.0 find themselves in hot water after a prison break on Wexia 1 sets free the dictator of Wexia 2. Now they must clean up their mess or find themselves locked up. This means working with Chief Fiona Alvarez of the Earth Defense Forces to recapture Supreme Leader Jungle and stop interplanetary war. No sweat for two pros like Crash and Troy. That's Crash and Troy, #1 from A Blue Wave World. We jump over to Dark Horse. I am looking forward to this title this week. I read the original series, really dug it. That's Parasomnia, Dreaming God #1. Colin Bunn and Andrea Mutte return with their hit adventure tale of two worlds, split between dreams and reality. As the hunt for his missing son continues, our hero shifts worlds from nightmarish Lovecraftian dreamscape to a cyberpunk metropolis where a ruthless cult continues to plague him, and reality and fantasy continue to blur. That's Parasomnia, Dreaming God #1 from Dark Horse. From Dynamite, this is that very, very fire Lucio Perillo cover. This Lady Hell #1. She is the very personification of death, or at least she was. When we last saw Lady Hell, she was paying the price for messing with the half-demon Purgatory. Now deposed, Lady Hell must find a way to seize back her throne. There's just one problem. She no longer has the power to do much more than exist. Meanwhile, what happens to the world when death is no longer a fact of life? It ain't pretty. Plus, where Lady Hell goes, can Lady Demon be far to follow? That's Lady Hell #1 from Dynamite Comics. Next, we jump over to publisher Heavy Metal, and we've got Entropy #1. Heavy Metal's event series Entropy arrives from Black Panther and Justice League writer Christopher Priest. Breaking Bad meets Green Lantern in the origin story of Heavy Metal's ultimate supervillain. Henry Hanks had a good life until he betrayed Keiko, the living embodiment of chaos and misery. With his whole world destroyed, Henry is killed and reborn as the newest herald of Keiko, with the power to destroy entire worlds in his master's name. All issues of Entropy will have a special Breaking Bad homage incentive cover by special artist Antonio Fuso. So love Breaking Bad. So Breaking Bad mixed with Green Lantern sounds pretty dope to me. I'm really looking forward to these incentive covers that homage Breaking Bad. So yeah, Heavy Metal, or from Heavy Metal, that's Entropy #1. From IDW, we've got a title that I can't say at all, but I absolutely love the cover to this. Not like it's a dope cover like I would include it in my covers list. It just cracks me up with this cat laying across this checkout. I don't know, it just made me laugh the second I saw it. And I'm going to try to say this name. That's Trev Cavelt #1. Marty Tarantella has been flipping burgers for 15 years. He has no kids, no hobbies, no love interest, and essentially no life. But what he does have is a plan to change everything. Years of watching the daily rhythms of the neighboring stores has given Marty the idea for the perfect heist. But when he accidentally steals a supernatural weapon from a cult full of violent lunatics, the resulting satanic panic will be way above his minimum wage pay grade. Nothing can prepare you for the coming of Trev Cavalt, a deliciously horrifying and hilarious new series. So that's probably, as far as like the book I'm looking most forward to reading this week, that's one of them. Like, I love that synopsis. That cover cracked me up as soon as I saw it. I think it's going to be funny. I absolutely cannot wait to check that out. All right, now from Image, we've got a few books. First up, we've got 20th Century Men #1. This is an extra length first issue. At the end of the 20th century, superheroes, geniuses, madmen, and activists rush toward World War II. A Soviet iron hero, a superpowered American president, an insane cyborg soldier, and an Afghan woman hell-bent on building a better life for her people. These strange yet familiar beings collide in a story that mixes history, politics, and comic book mythology into something totally new. Welcome to the 20th Century Men, where the edges of reality and fiction touch, overlap, and then explode. I think that sounds pretty dope as well. For you crossover fans out there, we've got Crossover 3D Special #1. Imagine everything you thought was fantasy was real. Now join us in a world where reality is dead and anything is possible. The powerhouse creative team of Donny Cates, Jeff Shaw, Dee Cunniffe, and John J. Hill is proud to present the best-selling first issue of Crossover in 3 glorious dimensions. This special edition uses a magical KLC Press 3D process and includes custom glasses for your viewing pleasure. Plus, an all-new story, also in 3D, with new revelations about the Dome, written by Donnie Cates and illustrated by Megan Hutchison Cates. So that is Crossover 3D Special number 1. That seems pretty cool. So I'll look forward to checking that one out and seeing what it's all about as far as the 3D part goes. All right, next up from Image, we've got Shirtless Bear Fighter 2, number 1. This is a miniseries premiere and a new story arc. Finally, the man, the myth, the legend, Shirtless Bear Fighter returns to the war on bear in a wild new action comedy with higher stakes, new characters, and all the heart and hilarity you expect from series co-creators Jody Lehup and Neil Vendrell. This time, Shirtless's search for true origin sets him on a cosmic collision course with the bear god, Ursa Major. The battle begins this August with 32 ad-free pages of side-splitting flapjack fury. Don't miss it. So from Image, Shirtless Bear Fighter 2, number 1, and if you look at the cover, this looks just like me if I had a beard and actually had muscles. Yes. Chest hair, his hair kind of looks like mine. Outside of that, that's where the comparisons end. All right, now let's jump over to Scout. Life and Death of the Brave Captain Suave, number 1. In this action-packed debut issue, we are introduced to the madness and heroism that is Captain Suave, a champion beyond measure. Captain Suave's journey follows a modern-day retelling of Cervantes' classic Don Quixote, only this hero is convinced that he is a golden age superhero. Ready yourself for an adventure that must be seen to be believed, as Captain Suave and his trusty sidekick Champ battle the imaginary forces of evil in Cleveland, Ohio. So that's kind of a classic Scout title. I'll definitely check that one out and give it a read. All right, now, Titan Comics. We've got Sherlock Scandal in Belgravia Part 2, number 1. The best-selling manga adaptation of Sherlock returns. Sherlock Holmes and John Watson are called to save the royal family from blackmail at the hands of Irene Adler. Adler pulls Sherlock into a complex web of mysteries involving the CIA and the MOD, with secrets that could threaten international security and topple the monarchy. That's Sherlock Scandal in Belgravia Part 2, number 1 from Titan Comics. Right now, let's jump over to Vault. We've got Barbaric Axe to Grind number 1. This is another book I'm absolutely looking forward to. It's the moment we've all been waiting for, the start of an all-new arc of Barbaric. Follow Owen and his magical companion, the tender, talking axe, as they spread kindness and hope in a world gone bad. Just kidding. Owen, Axe, and Soren are back, and so is all the mayhem and bloodshed that follows them wherever they go. This time they're out to settle an old score against Gladius, a wicked asshole who did Owen wrong way back in his barbarian days, and as always, it's just effing barbaric. Barbaric Axe to Grind, number 1 from Vault. Absolutely cannot wait. If you haven't read the first installment of that, you should go check it out. It is phenomenal. Also from Vault, we've got Hard Eyes, number 1. Sanity-eating monsters ended humanity. The unlucky few who survived now hide in the cracks of a broken world, and yet somehow, beneath the graveyard that used to be San Antonio, Rico met Luke, the girl of his dreams. But how did she get here? And why is she smiling? No one survives out in the street. No one smiles where the monsters lurk. That is Hard Eyes, number 1 from Vault Comics. And our last 2 books this week and our key issues come from 10 Ton Press. First one is Becoming Frankenstein, number 1. Have you heard the story about the genius scientist who sought to bring the dead back to life? A shy young lad, bullied too. His complex childhood culminating a brilliant yet distraught mind. Saved too late from such nightmares and fueled by darkness, great deeds would be committed on his behalf once he chose not to escape, becoming an even more daring in his arrogance. Becoming Frankenstein was not easy, and it's even worse for those who stood in his path. Herein lies the stories of those who suffered and died, with their corpses dissected to help make Victor Frankenstein's dream come true. So that is Becoming Frankenstein, number 1. And then our last book is also from 10 Ton Press, and that is Crimson Storm, number 1. Meet Crimson Storm, aka Dawn McGregor, a government-sponsored superheroine with explosive powers and a troubled past. Can she walk the line between saving citizens and getting chewed up by DC politics in the late 1990s? That is Crimson Storm, number 1, and that is from 10 Ton Press. All right, that is it for the big 2 and the indie companies this week. A lot of good stuff coming out. Can't wait to dive in and give some of these a read. All right, let's jump into our last category, and as always, that is our first appearances. We start with DC and Black Adam #3, where we have a possible first team appearance of a pantheon of gods from outer space. Then also from DC, we've got DC versus Vampires All Out War #2, where we have the first appearance of Baron Cinder. The Last Shadowhawk #1, we get the first appearance of the new Witchblade. And then for Marvel, we have Edge of the Spider-Verse #2, the first appearance of a new Spider UK. I've been grabbing all these because I think any new character in these books I think is important because of the movies, Edge of the Spider-Verse. It's untelling when these people are going to show up, so I've been picking these up. And then the last two books are both Star Wars titles. First one is Star Wars #26, where apparently if you watch Jim's Comics on YouTube, it's like, Jim's top picks, Jim Comics picks for New Comic Book Day. He mentioned this book as his, top pick of the week. Because apparently there's something like 8 first appearances. And I didn't find 8 first appearances. That's what he stated. What I found was first appearance of John and Beverly, nephew and niece-in-law of Kiara, and first appearance of Major Sharon, General Powton, and Ambassador Gibbons. So yeah, a bunch of first appearances in that. That's a must to pick up with that many first appearances in a Star Wars book. Now, they might not be major characters, but you just, can't go wrong. You never know who's going to pop up in one of these Star Wars shows. So that's Star Wars #26. And then wrapping up our first appearances this week is Star Wars The Mandalorian #2, where we get the first full appearance of Grogu in a comic book story. Again, I'm going to pick this one up for the PC. My guess is they'll print the daylights out of this book because everybody knows The Mandalorian. But it's still a cool book if you're a Star Wars collector and like to collect first appearances. All right, guys, that's it this week. That's the list. A lot of books, a lot of stuff coming out this week, a lot of good one-shots, big twos putting out some heavy stuff. I love those facsimiles this week. And guys, I hope this list helps you in some way make your picks for New Comic Book Day, August the 17th, 2022. I know I enjoy putting the list together and putting this video out. All right, guys, hope you have the greatest New Comic Book Day ever. I know I'm going to. And you know how we end these things. Until next time.